Hello, everybody. I was having a hangout here with Aaron, and I'd been sending him stuff that I'd been doing over the Chris Watts case, and just showing him where I'd got to, really. Just finding all those pictures which have been manipulated, and we were just talking about this case. And I was playing him some of the interview that Chris Watts did with Tammy and Graham the other week, and there was just loads of things like that. So he's not actually drawn into the drama of the whole case. He's okay watching things that I'm showing him, but I'm showing him things that just don't add up about this whole thing, about the fact that the drive footage is fake. You can't have dark till nearly dawn, which is a process of maybe we were in the dark and then it was nearly dawn when he left. He was only on the drive for 10 minutes, and actually the neighbour says on national television that the only thing he saw was Chris Watts driving onto the backing onto the drive. And they didn't capture him, and in fact Tammy and Graham now have to ask him, well, the children, they didn't say the shadows on the drive, did they? But they said they find out that, oh yes, the children were alive when he took them out of the house, and just how this thing is changing and how they're getting information like after they've sentenced him, and this whole thing is just very, very bizarre. And the police giving out everybody's names and addresses, which is also very weird. So I've been explaining all this to Aaron, and then this is what Aaron thought maybe could have been a possibility. And I know that other people have thought this. I'm not saying this has happened. I'm just saying, anyway, we'll just hear what Aaron's got to say.
Yeah, so my theory would be now, after hearing that, is that he was a victim of an MK Ultra mind control. He's a sleeper cell that might have gotten triggered prematurely and killed his family, but he was programmed to kill whomever he was programmed to kill. And so now, if that's the case, then he kind of went off the reservation, and now they need to cover their tracks. And so they're going to fake these various documents. They're going to make it look like whatever story he's telling is the correct story, to hide the fact that, no, really, he's a victim of mind control. And the real criminals here are the ones who programmed him in the first place, which would be, the shadow government that has been doing this for people for decades now, where they literally fragment your consciousness and give you a trigger word, and even train you in the ability to, assassinate a leader or whatever role they want you to do. And then they just trigger you. And maybe he was triggered. Maybe someone said, triggered that behavior, and he performed that. Or, maybe it was coming out that was the case. And so they had to take out any evidence. Who knows? I mean, who knows what really went down, but it does stand to reason. Right. Well, and it might just be that they're really bad at it. They are generally, like, look at all the NASA stuff. I mean, they're horrible at faking the photographs, of the weird photographs. Why would they be manipulating these photographs? And even after the fact, I mean, it's hard to say, but they're covering something up. Obviously, they're covering something up, and we don't really know what it is, but the fact that you're able to find all these mistakes or these little glitches in their cover-up is, it's a testament that it is a cover-up. And then they're covering something up, and it's probably going to be pretty hard to find out what they're covering up. But it makes sense that if he is a sleeper cell agent, then this is their protocol. They have to have a protocol to cover up any evidence that there's even such a program as MK Ultra or Project Monarch. They have to cover these projects up, and they do so, and they have protocols to cover them up. It's a fact. This isn't the first time this has happened. Yeah, so historically, I mean, they've been figuring out through MK Ultra and other projects how to essentially, through trauma, massive, crazy, horrific, painful trauma that they impose on these people over long periods of time. What happens is their consciousness becomes fragmented, and now they're sort of like they're literally schizophrenic. They're multiple personalities, and but they also will embed this trigger phrase that essentially, once that trigger phrase is spoken, they will be activated to do whatever it is they were programmed to do. And so their alternative personality comes through, who might be a trained assassin. Normally they're just like, a blue collar worker, but then their other personality is a trained assassin, literally ready whenever they hear that trigger word to kill. And so that could have been what happened. That trigger word was spoken inadvertently even, and it caused this him to just kind of lose it. And like he was saying in that recording you just played, he didn't even know. Like, he just felt like he knew he was going to do it, but he didn't know why. He didn't understand. Like, and everything else about him seems like he's not that type of person. So where did that come from? Was it just a brief psychosis, or was it from a program placed into? And that's one common trait, is that they are extremely calm. And any normal person that has any compassion whatsoever, empathy, would not be able to do those things cool and calm. They'd be very worked up. And the only way you can do it cool and calm is if you're well trained, or if you are literally if you're hypnotized, if you've been mind controlled to the point where you're not you. You're doing this out of, it's purely subconscious, and it's because you've been fragmented. Your consciousness has been fragmented, and so now you're not really in control of your own mind. You might believe you are, but then these kinds of things can happen. And it's a real phenomenon, absolutely, without a doubt. There's so much evidence, it's incredible that they've been performing these experiments and getting better at it even over time. And it could be for an agenda. Whatever. There's plenty of agendas. I don't know, with Chris Watts, he's a white guy, right? So they're trying to show that these white guys are, we are basically loose cannons, that, you don't know what we're capable of, and we can just snap because that's what our culture is doing to us. That's very much the narrative that is being pushed by the mainstream media right now, is that, white privilege, or, that basically white men should feel bad about themselves. So it does feed that same narrative, that Chris Watts is a white guy. It's kind of a typical white guy that now lost his mind for a moment and killed his entire family, right? So now I could see, if that were all fake, that would be the reason why, is because they're just using these fake events to push these concepts into the public's mind, because they're not only mind controlling these individuals, like through Monarch and MK Ultra, but they're also using these same techniques of hypnosis and mass mind control against the masses. And that's what we're seeing. We're observing that every day. No, it is horrible. I hadn't really heard much about it, and then, yeah, that's horrific. That story is horrific, without a doubt. And even just hearing him talk about it does not sound like either he didn't do it, or it wasn't him that, he wasn't him when he did it, which would be a sleeper cell. Yeah, which he didn't do it then. It didn't really happen in that case. Maybe he didn't even have a family. Maybe they never even existed. And so that's why you see all these fake photos and stuff, is because they're just creating the story. So why would there be any evidence of manipulating footage or photos? Why would there be any evidence? There shouldn't be any indicator of that whatsoever. And the fact there is quite a bit suggests that it was faked, completely fake, or they're either that or they're covering something up. And I don't know how they, okay, so let's say he was a sleeper, he kills the entire family, and now they want to make it what are they covering up? So that doesn't make as much sense, actually. I would say what seems to make more sense is that the entire thing is fabricated, because it could be, all right, so now he's been in court, we've all seen this, and then he never actually goes to prison. He is just, this is all a show.
Anyway, that's what Aaron felt. If it's that way, and you know, if things are manipulated, then they are covering up something, aren't they? Anyway, what does everybody think?